Yeah.
What's cracking, everybody? You're back with Mr. Berger, and I'm honored to have tonight back again Turtle. Turtle, how's it going?
It's going good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Good to hear from you again. I've been told by you that you've been having some pretty awesome matches lately, you know, and kind of just had a funny little situation here come up. So, why don't you tell us about that? You've been playing this Prince Rascals bait deck, and you actually ran into a streamer. Is that right?
Yeah, so I was just playing ladder, just pushing a little bit, trying to get to 5,800. And I beat this guy. I was in a clan at the time, and I beat this guy, and I saw he was a streamer. And after I beat him, he invited me to the clan. And after he invited me to the clan, he told me to check out his stream, and I was chilling there for a bit, and he was a really cool guy. And I'm in his clan now, and we had some really funny reactions from him after I beat him.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I've actually got his clip pulled up already. I'm at 0 seconds. Are you ready to kind of skim through it and see what he has to say?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Let me make sure that this volume is good. Yeah, we're fine. All right. So, what is this guy's name?
His name is NJ's Finest.
Cheeks.
Okay, got it.
Clap your cheeks, Turtle.
Oh boy, I'm gonna have to do a little editing here. A little bit of censorship, right? But that's all right. Keeping it PG. All right. So, did you know,
Those cheeks
like,
are about to get clapped.
did he contact you afterwards? How did you know that you were on his stream?
Hard right here. I'm not
So
ashamed of it.
when I went in his clan and he told me to join his stream, get on his stream, when I did, everyone in the chat was freaking out when I started saying stuff, and he actually said that everyone was
Okay. We're actually right
everyone
here.
thought I was a legend,
Oh my
and
God.
they just kept
Oh my
talking
God.
about me for like 20 minutes, and
Oh my God, I'm sick.
that's basically how that happened.
Oh, okay. So it was like a lot of hype in his stream.
Yeah.
Oh man,
This guy
yeah,
just
he got
hard
you,
to
or you got him rather with that
I
juice
just got
barrel.
you
I was
baited.
looking at the bottom thinking that was you at
This guy's
first.
just
Slapping a
baited.
turtle's
but-
cheeks, I don't condone that.
Yeah, I keep, like he even just said right there, I keep banging him back to back, and I protect my princess right there, and this just puts salt in the burn right here when he misses the fireball.
Yeah, I love his reactions. He's a good personality, you know.
I lost it.
Definitely is.
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's part of being a streamer or a YouTuber. You got to be put on a good personality.
Nah,
Definitely,
Bobs.
I like his.
Yep.
So what's going on here? At this point, it looks like he's pretty much given up.
Yeah, so the reason I put the Prince of the Bridge, usually that's not a great play because you'd want to say for RG or something, but I knew his deck, and I knew he didn't have a great answer, and I knew he didn't have a lot of elixir
We're not
either,
gonna
so
talk about that.
I knew I'd take his
We're not
tower
gonna
there,
talk
and
about that.
he also
We're
just
not-
gave
we're
up,
not gonna
so
talk
either
about
way,
it. We're not
I was
gonna
going to take his
talk about it.
tower.
Everything's fine.
Got it.
Everything's fine.
Well, that's pretty
I'm
much
gonna
the
close
match.
my eyes for 5 more
We're not gonna talk
seconds.
about that.
Peek real
All right,
quick.
did you want to jump ahead to like some of his certain reactions or something? There was a few moments that you wanted to talk about. Is that correct?
Yeah, so later on in the stream, someone asked to see my profile. He pulled it up, and he complimented me a couple times on it.
Turtle, here it is. Turtle TM. Dude, let's invite him to the clan, dude. Let's invite him to the clan.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So
He's
yeah, I
only
see
got 3,700
in his
wins,
clan
dude. This
chat,
guy
yeah,
is
or in his
literally
stream
got
chat,
next
people are
generation of Clash
talking
players.
about inviting him, or inviting you rather.
I'll tell him to turn into the stream. Hopefully he
Yeah,
joins.
everyone was freaking out when I actually joined the clan and joined the chat and watched the stream for a
Start
little bit.
already.
Yeah,
FF.
that's awesome, dude. I'm glad to hear that you got this opportunity to check out this pretty cool stream, and you know, we featured on it in a sense. All right, are you ready to jump on into some replays, and we'll take a closer look at some of these interactions with this deck?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
All right, guys, if you are unfamiliar or if you're new to the channel, I've actually had Turtle here on the channel before, so if you want to learn more about him, you know, like where he's from, all that good stuff, you can check out the other video that I did with him. He was playing the classic log bait in that video. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at this Rascals Prince log bait kind of deck. So, Prince is in a pretty good place right now. Do you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah, so this deck with the Rascals and Prince has been popular for the past month, I'd say, maybe even longer. They didn't nerf Prince like everyone wanted them to, so I decided to get it from level 11 to level 12 with all the epic tokens and shop and stuff like that, and I've been having a lot of success with them.
Awesome. Yeah, I know. Rather than nerfing Prince, they buffed Dark Prince, so it brought double prince back into the meta. I'm a big fan of the double prince deck. I like giant double prince. I think it's kind of easy to play, but not too easy, and it's a lot of fun, and it's pretty easy to do well with. How do you feel about double prince and being in the double prince meta again?
I personally think it's very strong, especially when they get the giant and double prince down and double elixir.
Yeah.
There's not much you can do about that, really.
Yeah, it's a great deck. You can be passive or you can be really aggressive with it. You can really punish with that deck by doing stuff like putting the giant and the dark prince at the bridge. So right now we're not going up against the double prince deck. Right now we're actually going up against the classic royal giant deck. So you can go ahead and feel free to interrupt me in anywhere here if you want to point out any interactions or anything like that. But I'm just going to kind of go start asking you some questions about your deck and how you're going to play it or how you want to play it. So in this variation, what would you consider your win condition or your win conditions?
So just like with the classic log bait, I think Goblin Barrel is obviously the main win condition, but if they have a small spell like Barbarian Barrel or Snowball or Tornado like everyone does in every deck, in this version, getting Prince to the tower is also a very good way to get damage because he does so much damage, and also Rocket Cycling is a great way to take your opponent's tower.
Yeah, definitely. You cannot underestimate the power and the value of that Rocket Cycle, especially once you get into double elixir time. You can really afford to kind of just play defense, get those trades, and then invest that extra elixir into just chipping away at their tower.
Definitely.
So the archetype of this deck, well, it's definitely like a variation of the classic bait deck. But how do you play it? Do you play it kind of like a control deck? Are you aggressive with it? What would you say about that?
So I'd say at first in single elixir, I'll be very sort of passive, just trying to bait out their small spells. And if I know their deck, say I know they have Barbarian Barrel and Snowball, I won't go very aggressive with like Goblin Barrel on the tower when I'm low on elixir. So basically just try to bait out their small spells in single elixir and capitalize on that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into another replay here. All right, now you told me that this is actually a pretty good, pretty difficult matchup here. Or not necessarily a difficult matchup, but a pretty close match is what I mean to say. What deck are you going up against here? It almost looks like classic log bait.
I'm going against a actual balloon deck.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, it's a little odd balloon deck, but I mean, if it works for him, it works for him.
Bro, he just zapped your tower. Oh, oops, it was an accident.
Yeah, I was very happy to see that.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh, man, but it's okay. Maybe he can salvage the situation, but probably not. So let's see. Sorry, go ahead.
He does come back. He does get the balloon to the tower a couple times just because that zap is hard to deal with sometimes when I Goblin Gang and Ice Spear, for example. Unlike classic log bait, this does not have Inferno Tower, so I have nothing to distract that balloon. And like right here, he zaps my Goblin Gang and he gets an easy hit.
Yeah, definitely. So he doesn't have log, but he does have zap to counter you. I noticed that you really capitalize on the juke barrels, or the tricky barrels as people call them in this game. Do you want to explain that concept to me a little bit, or to our viewers? Like, how do you judge when and where to use your juke barrels?
So for where I am on ladder, almost all the decks are very meta. So when they play the first card or two, I know exactly what they're playing. So I don't know if they have Tornado or Barb Barrel. If they don't have Tornado, I will place the Goblin Barrel one tile back from the Princess Tower on their side, and I'll also Ice Spear at the bridge, because when they see the Ice Spirit, they may think, oh, he's just going to do a normal barrel, and they're going to try to log both of them to get extra value. Yeah. And that's when they miss completely and you get a ton of damage.
Yeah, and then the Ice Spirit can tank for a second for the goblins as well, if you time everything perfectly, obviously. Do you generally try to send the barrel in with like a tank, like the Rascals in this case, or the Prince, or do you often just kind of fling it in there and try to juke them out and try to chip away at the tower?
Usually I'll do it alone unless I know they use their spells, but like I said, just most decks are meta. For some cases, you don't know if they have 3 spells, so I don't want to get too dangerous with it.
So if you are going up against Giant Double Prince, and they're running the triple spell variation, you know, with Ewiz and Mega Minion, how might you handle a situation like that when they do have 3 spells?
So that is a tricky matchup. It's a terrible matchup for me.
Mhm.
But usually I will throw it just a little deep, maybe 2 tiles back. Or if I have a prince coming down the lane, they'll try to want to knock back the prince, use the log effect. So I'll throw it all the way in the back corner as far as possible. So they would have to log one or the other.
Yeah.
You just really want to mess with them and try to make them mess up.
Yeah, and I guess this is just really occurring to me now. I mean, Prince himself is a loggable card. Like, do they often use their log on the Prince? Is that a situation you find them in much?
I'd say it happens often just because maybe their cycle isn't great, so they'll log in and then use something else.
Yeah, especially if they don't know what you're running yet. You know, when they see the Prince, they might not expect a bait deck. You know what I mean? So they might be
Yeah.
like, oh, let's just log that Prince, and then bam, there goes the Goblin Barrel, and you've done a ton of damage to their tower.
Exactly.
So the next question actually was going to be, what are some of your most difficult matchups? Well, you covered the fact that it was Giant Double Prince merely because of the 3 spells, right? What are some other matchups that you have trouble with?
Um, Definitely Expo cycle. One of the replays we're gonna watch is a loss from Expo. He had Fire Spirits log cycle deck. There's no way I could win against that just because he cycles faster than me and he has multiple things to counter my barrel. So if you get that matchup, it's unlucky, but maybe you can win. You just have to try your best to outplay them and get them when they're low on elixir.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and jump on into one more replay. All right, so well, you have it, but we actually have that very replay that you're talking about here right now. So this is up against Expo. It is a loss, guys, and we're going to kind of just talk about why it was difficult, where you went wrong, where you could have done things better. So it looks like he kind of clipped 1 or 2 of your goblins with that first log, but you did get a little bit of chip damage there, huh?
Yeah, so I saw Ice Spirit. So at my trophy range, it's always going to be a cycle deck, which always has a log or something of that sort. So it's either Expo or 2.6 usually,
Yeah.
Cloud 2.6.
Okay. Yeah.
And see
So-
how fast he cycles? He's already back to log, and that's what really did it for me.
Now you're running Ice Spirit too, so do you ever think it might be bait, another bait deck too, or do you not see that too often?
Usually, I don't see classic bait or even just Rascals bait where I am, but maybe every like 1 in every 20 matches, I'll see
Yeah.
that.
So the most common decks, probably like Royal Giant, Giant Double Prince right now, maybe in the current meta. Probably like Golem too, huh?
Definitely Golem.
And do you have trouble with Golem as well with this deck?
Prince is very good against Golem, especially if you Prince and say if they Night Witch, you Princess, and then you can log it all, log it back, and
Yeah.
usually he'll only get a couple hundred damage, and you'll get some good trades. So it's not that hard to deal with.
Awesome. Sounds great, man. Now this Expo deck, it is a hard matchup. If you could have done things differently, or like if you were to go up against another Expo deck, how would you try to handle it properly? Is there any way you could, or is it pretty much if they're better or they're equally skilled, they win?
So right there, I think I should have been more aggressive. I should have known how much elixir he had, and I should have sent the barrel earlier and right on the tower. I would have got a lot more damage and maybe actually been able to pull off the win.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So just little interactions like that can really cost you the game, huh?
Yeah, one mistake and it's all over.
Man, this game is really unforgiving, and I say that all the time. It's really true. And some decks with others, some decks more than others. So like right now, I'm playing Golem Beatdown on ladder, and I know everybody's gonna hate on me for that because it's really strong right now, but that's fine. I don't care. I love it, and it's a forgiving deck. I'm telling you, and you probably know. Like it's a deck you can afford to lose a tower. You can afford to slip up once or twice, then just put a Golem in the back and win all of a sudden. Other
Yeah.
decks like that are a lot more control oriented are going to be a lot more difficult to make a comeback with. And Logbait is all about getting that chip damage. You're not building up one big massive push. So if you like take a little bit too much damage or you can never break through, then there's pretty much nothing you can do about that. Is that relatively fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, cool. And I think, a lot, like I was running Hog Cycle, or like a Hog Lightning kind of cycle deck for a while. And same thing, if you slip up, and you just don't get enough hog chip damage in, there's not much you can do about it. So decks like this, the Expo decks, they're excellent in good hands. It's consistently and, notoriously a high skill cap deck. It has good win rates and low usage rates usually because the people that use it know how to use it well. and just put you in lockdown, right? I mean, they just control the battlefield and you can never break through it. It's ridiculous.
Agreed.
So in this case, you can kind of do a little bit of chip damage here and there, but at this point, it looks like he's just fireball cycling you, huh?
Yeah, and he cycles so fast. I knew it was game over. There's nothing I could do there.
Yeah, I know. Double elixir time, really fast cycle deck. I mean, you could probably Hail Mary and go for like the rocket barrel, but I mean, if at this skill level, you would think he wouldn't fall for that, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. Well, it's good of you to share one loss. We talk about how we can do better and some of the difficult matchups. Why don't we go ahead and jump on into another winning replay?
All right, sounds good.
All right, now that we're done with the difficult matchups, there's a few more questions that I have for you still. So, what would be your ideal starting hand and your ideal opening moves? And then alternatively, we'll talk about how do you handle unideal starting hands. Is that even a word? Non-ideal starting hands. But let's talk about ideal starting hand first, one step at a time.
All right, so I think it's the same with classic log bait. I'd say Princess, Goblin Barrel, Log, and Goblin Gang, just because there's a lot of defensive potential, or you can start with offense like Goblin Barrel, or even just defensively like Princess behind the King Tower.
Got it. Okay. So, Princess behind the King Tower, do you like to Princess at the Bridge as an opener, or do you not really do that usually?
I don't usually do that, no.
Gotcha. And do you ever, I guess you kind of do, I think I've seen you do it. Do you open with Goblin Barrel much?
Yeah, anytime I have it, I usually do.
Okay, gotcha. Now, if you come out with an awkward hand, I don't know, what's like a weird hand? I don't know, Rocket, Log, Prince, Rascals, or something like that. What would you do in a situation like that?
So in that situation, I'll sit it out. Usually, if they're playing beatdown or something, they'll want you to wait till the elixir. So if they don't play anything in the first like 20 seconds or so, maybe I'll cycle Log on the tower or cycle Rascals in the back.
Yeah, okay. Log in the tower, actually not too bad of a move if you don't have anything else. You know, sometimes you gotta just cycle that spell out, depending on your deck. Like if you're running a triple spell deck, or, you know, goodness forbid, quad spell deck with some weird, you know, rage clone deck, I don't know, then, you know, sometimes you run out of options. But it sounds like you're comfortable doing that just to cycle it out of hand, rather than investing like the full 5 elixir and cycling Rascals in the back.
Yeah, that's if you have to do that.
Gotcha. So me personally, I'm the kind of guy, I don't know, it's always been my playstyle where I like to just cycle stuff and get the match going, rather than like hanging tight and sitting waiting for my opponent to make the first move. But maybe that's my demise. And I think it depends on the deck, huh? It's like if you're playing a beatdown deck, you want to hang tight until double elixir. So for this deck, is it a good idea for you to do that? Do you like waiting so that you can get to double elixir quicker? Or is it ideal for you to make the first move and get the battle going right away?
So for me personally, I'm like you, I don't like waiting that much. But also with the deck, you don't have to wait because it's not that expensive. Yes, it's a little expensive with the Rocket, the Rascals, and the Prince, but
Yeah.
It's not like a golden beatdown deck where you want to wait till double elixir.
Yeah, and the other 4 cards, you know, you'll always have the, you know, 1 or 2 of them in your hand. So pretty much, I mean, I guess you could technically have the 3 or 4 most expensive cards, but for the most part, you're almost always going to have a cheap card that you can cycle in your hand.
Yeah.
So single elixir and double elixir play, talking of which, or speaking about which, how do you play that differently with this deck versus, you know, the classic log bait? Is there any kind of different play style when you get into double elixir? Do you make it more aggressive? How do you handle that?
So double elixir cycling is very key. Same with classic log bait, so it's kind of the same play style, but Prince and Rascals are so strong in some scenarios, so you want to cycle back to them as fast as possible. Since they're so good against so many troops. So basically just cycling and getting chip damage with the barrel and double elixir as much as possible is the best way to do it in double elixir.
Awesome. So once you get to that double elixir time, you want to cycle pretty aggressively just to keep chipping away at their tower, right? You want to keep the pressure on them, because if you are going up against like a beatdown deck, you know, you don't want to allow them to build that massive push up, because that's going to be detrimental to you in double elixir time especially.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about just general misplays or mistakes. What do you not want to do with this deck?
So, like I said, this deck is a little heavier with the Prince, Rocket, and Rascals. So you shouldn't go too aggressive because even for me, sometimes I'll be too aggressive and be down so much elixir that I can't do anything since I have 2 5 elixir cards and a 6 elixir card in my hand, and the next card is log or something.
Yeah.
So just play patient most of the time and capitalize off of their mistakes.
Definitely. So that being said, it sounds like it's a bit of a control style gameplay, at least early on, until, like we talked about, you switch over to double elixir and you get a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
So let's see. I mean, you really want to. It's not as aggressive because with classic log bait here. Let me get my thoughts together. With classic log bait, you can afford to like Goblin Gang at the bridge, Princess of the Bridge, use the Goblin Barrel a lot more aggressively for the most part. But with this deck, it sounds like you're more passive. You want to hang tight, maybe send the Goblin Barrel in with like a Prince more often than not. I know we talked about that more specifically already. I'm just kind of summing it up for you. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, basically just defend and counter push off of your defense if you're ahead.
All right, sounds great. All right, I know we have 1 or 2 more replays. Let's go ahead and jump on into the next one. All right, we are going to talk about a tip or two at the end here. He has an awesome little clip for us. But we've talked about mistakes. Let's talk briefly about like trophy range, and then we'll cover card replacements. Is there an ideal trophy range for this deck? Is it universal? Where do you recommend it, or do you not have too much of an opinion on that?
So, interestingly enough, I was messaging the person who is number 72 in the world. He plays log bait, classic log bait, just with Valkyrie instead of Knight. He told me that if I play this deck right, I can easily get to 6,400, but it also could work anywhere from like 3,500 all the way up to 6,400 if you play it right. So it's just basically about how you play the deck is where you're going to get with it.
Yeah, and it looks like your Prince is only level 12, and the guy you're talking about, I recall you telling me this off camera, said that even with the level 12 Prince, you could probably push really high with it.
Yeah, he said he got to like 6,100 trophies with like a level 11 Princess and Log, and that's just crazy. So
yeah, but
he also said that Prince is really good even just level 12.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that just comes down to skill, man. Like, some people are just god tier at this game, and that's just the reality of how it is. You see people pushing, with over 4K trophies with all level 1 cards. I mean, obviously there's some skill going on there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Can't blame it all on card levels. But that being said, for us mere mortals, card levels play a major difference. So don't get discouraged, guys. People that come and ask me questions all the time, how do I push higher? It's always like, how do I advance past this trophy range? That I show them, they show me their deck, and their deck is great. It's like, dude, you're good. You just need to level up your cards. Like, you can't really push too high if your cards are like way under leveled. If you're level 9 and 10 and your opponents are level 12 and 13, right? I mean, it can be done, but for most normal players, that are not the world class pros, card levels make a major difference for sure.
Definitely.
So we were talking about where this can be played. So if we don't have all the cards, let's talk about maybe some card replacements. Let's cover the most difficult first. If they don't have Princess, what would you recommend for Princess? Do you have any replacements?
Princess is an easy one. Dark Goblin would definitely work. It doesn't have the splash damage, but it does shoot faster, and it's faster overall, so you can do it at the bridge and get the extra chip damage.
Cost 3 elixir, has massive range, dies to log. It's an obvious, like, no-brainer replacement for Princess. I agree. If you don't have the Dark Goblin, you may be able to pull off, like, I don't know, archers or something ridiculous like that. But, I mean, you do kind of want that log bait card in there, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
What about if they don't have the log? Would you recommend, Snowball or Zap or something like that?
Bar Barrel is a good one if they have a level up, and if not that, then Snowball is good because it also knocks a lot of troops back, and it does, if it's even level with your Zap, it does the same amount of damage.
Yeah, definitely. Snowball's really strong in the meta right now. It's definitely the meta light spell. Bar Barrel was for a while, and I think that's a good replacement for log. If they don't have, say, Prince, do you have any replacements for Prince? Or if they don't have it leveled up, maybe?
In this deck, Prince, with the Rascals, that's kind of the synergy of the deck. So it's going to be very hard to replace. But, I mean, you could go more classic style and do Inferno Tower, but it's not going to give you the same value a Prince could, but it could work.
What about Valkyrie, Knight, Bandit, Royal Ghost, anything like that?
If you decide to use Knight, I think you're better off just going with the 3.3 classic.
Yeah.
Valkyrie, that is a good substitution for Prince, but it's obviously not as hard hitting or fast or anything like that.
Right. It just kind of plays that mini tank role, huh?
Yeah.
So let's see. I know we're going to talk about that princess clip. Do you have any other final tips for this deck before we talk about that?
I think that's about it.
Okay, let's go ahead and jump on into that clip. All right, so to wrap things up here, we're going to take a look at this clip, and it's playing on a loop in the background so you guys can kind of see over and over again what's going on. But can you kind of just explain to me what's going on here? It looks like you're caught in a pretty tight situation with the golem, but what exactly is happening that you want to point out to us?
So what's happening is I had a lot of damage on his towers early game, but with the golem beatdown deck, they can come back at any time.
Yeah.
So he managed to take my tower after I took his before the time ran out.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can see in the clip, it was going to be really close. He was either going to 3-crown or take my second tower. So what I realized was if I play the princess, not right in the corner, but like a tile back, the king tower won't shoot it also, just the princess tower. So I know she'll get that hit and that I could rocket it. I thought rocket would be enough, but when it wasn't, I just logged also and got the win from that. And then I spirited the Prince and Mega Minion, which was about a 3-crown me. It was very close, but
yeah,
I managed to pull it
really
off.
Close. Yeah, that was super close. I'm seeing that now. The Ice Spirit might have just saved you there. So the main thing that we're trying to point out here, guys, is if you look at the placement of the princess, it's about 2 or 3 tiles up from the river. I'm seeing 3 tiles exactly up from the river. Rather than doing, the 4 or 5 full tiles in that pocket there, because if you do it in that spot, all the way up, then the King Tower will have shot the princess as well, and it would have killed her before she could have gotten her shot off there. All right, so let's go ahead and just wrap this thing up here. Do you have any final tips, any heads up that you want to talk about for this deck here in general?
I think if you have it at a decent level, I think you should give it a try. It is super strong in many matchups, and just because you don't have Inferno Tower, don't think you won't be able to defend those heavy hitting pushes. Yeah,
definitely. All right, man. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video all the way until the end. We both really appreciate it. Shout out to the streamer. What was his name again?
NJ's Finest.
All right, got it. Shout out to NJ's Finest. He was a really cool comedic dude, and it was cool of him to invite you to your clan. And hey, thank you, Turtle, for taking the time to come onto the channel again. Eyes out for this guy, guys. Keep your eyes peeled, right? Because, like he said, this guy's pushing pretty high. He doesn't have his deck maxed out. He's doing really well. Maybe we'll see him shipped out to CRL sometime soon. High hopes.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think it would. So listen, man, I'm going to hand the mic over to you. Any closing shout-outs or anything you'd like to leave us with?
Just shout out to NJ Finest again and his clan. They're an amazing group of people, and anyone in his stream.
Yeah, definitely check out his stream. I think he's on Twitch, right?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Well, that is it for tonight, guys. Again, thank you so much for watching till the very end. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Helps out more than you know. And, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that little burger down there to subscribe. I want to know what you guys have to think as well. Let us know in the comment section, if you enjoyed this deck, if you've had success with it, and if you're interested in coming on the channel as a guest. Of course, feel free to reach out to me. I think Turtle just commented on my channel one day and was like, hey, man, I want to show this deck off. And I was like, yeah, sure. Does that, does that sound right to you?
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, pretty much. So, it could be you guys if you're interested. Anyway, thanks again so much, Turtle. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a good night.
Yeah.